Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and today we're going to work on the mill. And it's I've been putting this off for way too long. I was actually with Randy Richard and Ray Cornelia up at Tom Lipton's place, and we were talking about spindle run out on the mill and stuff. And they said, Ray said, "Oh, mine's got 2/10 of run out," and Randy said, "Oh man, mine's got 4/10 of run out." And then they both turned to me and said, "Hey Stan, how much does yours have?" And I said, "Thou and a half." And their jaws just fell on the floor. And I said, "It has no effect on milling, right? Except your milling cutter won't wear evenly." And they thought about it a little bit and they said, "Yeah, you're right." So I've been running my mill. It's been that way ever since I got it. It's been like 1.5 or so of run out inside the spindle, and it's the actual R8 socket. It's just an R8 collet setup. And I thought I should probably do something about it. So I've had this in my mind, and I've been kicking it around in my mind for a long time. And let's go over first the angles required to duplicate this. We're not going to be grinding this section back here, but we are going to be regrinding this angle. Now, according to Machinery's Handbook, the angle is 16 degrees 51 minutes, which converts to 16.850. That is an included angle. Cut that in half. That's 8.425 per side. Off the center line, only one angle only. So there's all your math for setting your angles. I'm going to erase the board and bring it back, and I'll show you what we have to do to the machine, angle-wise and things like that, to make it work. So let me bring it back here in a second. Okay, so let's go over the mill setup. Let's draw the mill first of all. Just front view. There's the base, table. There's your tower, and the ram, and then the head. What we want to do with the head is you want to rotate it 90 degrees sideways, and you want your head to be sitting like this with your spindle sticking out here. And what I want you to do is go ahead and extend the spindle all the way. You need to indicate it here and here to make sure we are 0, 0, and get it as close as you possibly can. Work your dial indicator, move the table back and forth, find the high spot, come over, move it back and forth, find the high spot. So you need to get it exactly flat. Next up, this is I guess we'd call this a front view. This one's going to be what, the top view maybe. This is from the top looking down on your mill. You've got the column and the table here, and now you've got your ram. You got your 4 bolts on the spider on the ram, and you need to turn it sideways so your head is coming in at an angle like this, because remember, your spindle is sticking out and we're trying to duplicate that collet right there. You're trying to duplicate this angle, half of it, with an indicator, and you want to duplicate your split angle with it, not the included angle, just the split. And you need to set up your gauge blocks and your sign bar come in handy. Lay it right on the side of the spindle here and indicate off of that. Keep turning this ram this way and this way, and it takes a while until you get a 0, 0 reading right off of your sign bar right here, 0 and 0. So those are the 2 settings you have to do to get lined up on your spindle. After you've got these 2 licked, the rest of it's pretty easy. Let's go over to the mill and actually look at the setup with it all in place. And it took me several hours just to get it set up. But But when you think about the alternative of taking your spindle out and sending it into a spindle shop to be reground, and probably bearings and everything else while it's out, 4 hours is nothing. So let's go over to the mill and see what we have to do to set this up. Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and today we're going to talk about I'm working on the spindle on my machine. My collet socket had about 1.5 thou of run out. It's been that way ever since I owned it, and I want to fix it, but I don't want to send the spindle out. That costs a lot of money. And I'm going to show you my setup. What I did is I extended my quill. I rotated my head 90 degrees, I extended the quill, and I indicated it so it's dead flat. That's step one. Next up is you rotate the turret back there, 4 bolts on the spider, and rotate the turret until you match your angle of an R8 collet. That way the axis of the machine is following the taper of the collet. Toolmaker's vise, let me get this light out of the way. Toolmaker's vise, V-block, die grinder, stood up in the in my regular vise, and now the axis of my machine, and I just got it set on a real slow feed rate. Now the axis of my machine will grind the spindle. I just got it in back gear, and I'm going to run it. I just run it really slow. Let me shut all this down and show you my first pass. Shine a light in there. You can probably see the green ink. And we disengage the spindle here. All right, now I can spin it around. Now you can see the green ink inside of there. And I've got good contact with that collet. And all I did was color a collet with the Sharpie, stick it in there, and tighten it down to make sure it was going to match. It's taken me about 2 hours worth of setup to do this, but completely worth it. I've been putting it off for too long. I've been meaning to give that spindle a little bit of attention for quite some time anyways. Let me get set up. I'm going to get this camera on a tripod. And I got one more grind to make. You can see I'm just quite not cleaned up. So I got some shiny spots out there towards the leading edge. I'm just going to get set up for one more final pass, and I'll get it turned on and film it for you guys. But that's a way to true up your spindle right on the machine. Always turn your head sideways. You can get in there and you can see what's going on with your the socket, your collet socket, and the inside of your spindle, and you can do a really good inspection. So let's get this on a tripod and get that final cut made. to back out. Kind of a spring pass. None of my switches are where they're supposed to be. All right, so you can see down in there we've got a good clean all the way out to the end. Next up, we're going to check it, clean it all out. I got a rag stuffed up in there, so I'm going to get it all cleaned out and see how deep our collet sits. If it sits too deep, we might have to take a little bit off of this face. But for all intents and purposes, this thing is done. Let me stick the head in neutral here. Take a good look at that. So that's a pretty good clean. I'm pretty happy with that, except for, you know, your little radius out here, but you know, that doesn't affect anything. All right, let me get this cleaned out, and we'll actually check it for run out. I had measured it here on the high side. I was 2.4 thousandths, and right here I was 0, where that line is. I got it marked out here on the spindle. So I was 0 here, and you know, almost 2.5 thousandths of socket run out. This machine's always been bad. I don't know why. It's been that way since the day I owned it. But I thought it was high time I fixed it. So let's get all this malarkey out of the way and put a collet in there and see what it looks like. Okay, I think I got my lighting good. Ooh, it's blowing out the gauge, but you can see the grind inside. And you can see where it was, the shiny spot where the chamfer is and everything, and where the grind dropped off. And I'll probably need to do, yeah, let me move the light out of the way. That way you can see the indicator. I got the spindle in neutral. And there's your run out. You can see the gauge moving about 1/10. So my spindle is true. So any errors that I'm getting are going to come from collets. So let's go throw some collets in there and see how bad my collets really are. Between the spindle being bad, my collets being, you know, Asian imports, it wasn't great. But I'm completely satisfied with that right there. And yes, my gauge is hooked up, see, right there. No, it's not broken. There's your tick right there. All right, let's go check some collets. And here we are with a 3/8 collet installed, and it's sitting in a little deeper than flush than it used to, but I don't think that's really going to bother me. And I got the spindle in neutral again. Everything's tight, and we're just indicating off of an old dead end mill. So I'm seeing 6/10 there, the run out. And like I say, even the best collets are good for 2 or 3. A cheap Asian one, I'm happy with that if that's an Asian one. So that's about where they sit. So there's your total error right there, 6/10, and that's to the tool, which is a darn sight better than what did we start off with? I don't know, a couple thou, a lot. So this thing's at a close. I can put my mill back together finally. This whole project took about 4 hours. Break down the mill, turn the head sideways, indicate it in, swing the turret, indicate that in, make sure all axes are locked, Had to figure out how to get a die grinder in the vise with a V-block, so I did that there. Make sure the die grinder's on center. There was a lot to do. So that's the setup, and that's the cut only took what, a minute or two, but getting the setup done took a while. So that's the setup. If you've got a spindle that's out, it can be pretty easily fixed with just some pretty common tools around the shop. Okay, so there you have it. I'm pretty pleased with the results of doing a regrind just on that R8 socket inside the spindle of my machine. Didn't have to take the head off, didn't have to pull the spindle out. It took me about 4 hours to do it. Why did I do it finally? I've been milling with all that run out forever. I've got some little tiny drilling coming up, and I wanted to get, you need to be dead on with those little tiny drills. That much run out can really cause havoc on a little tiny drill. So that's how I trued up my spindle. Check yours, just for the heck of it. Check it, call it in, check it, call it out, and identify your error, whether the error is in the collet socket or it's in the collet itself. But your results may vary. I'm going to warn you, you guys only get one chance at this. Be very, very careful with your setup. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed.